representing 38 years with the Oregon International Guard retired. So, but the uniform still fits. So, I want to welcome you here today on behalf of the 26 members that we have displayed down below in the display we've got down below. On behalf of Evergeen, I'm the president of the board of directors. I want to welcome you to our facilities. I hope you enjoy your day today, and please, after this, get out and enjoy everything this place has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Can you hear me back there, Dale? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that great welcome, and thank you for your 38 years of service. And most importantly, John, thanks for putting those two F-15s and the F-4 on pedestals where we all can see those fighter airplanes. Thank you. Good afternoon. It is afternoon. I'm looking for a missing person. Tori. Tori Gold, are you here? Where's Tori? Okay, we'll know who Tori is in a minute. I'm Dick Tobiasen. I'm the chairman of the Ben Hills Foundation, which initiated this project and brought it to you. We're absolutely delighted that we can honor Oregon's 26 Medal of Honor recipients. We'll know more about them in a minute. I'm a retired Army pilot, and one of the reasons that we brought the exhibit here because 150,000 people a year travel through this gorgeous museum, and what a great place to exhibit the Medal of Honor. So that's one of them. The other reason is there are 10 airplanes here that I've flown over the years. So thank you, John Pearson, for playing the pipes. I think Bob Maxwell likes the pipes being from Scottish and Irish stock, right, Bob? So John Pearson is from Prineville, and he runs a marvelous program called Military Honors by the Pipes. It's a nonprofit foundation. He has 10 volunteers, and they play at 300 Veterans Memorial Services each month. So if you're interested in having that service from John, talk to him, but also give him some cash because they pay expenses for their pipers. But thank you, John. Gil Smith was the founder of this museum, this world-class museum. He's an Air Force veteran. I met him once to get his approval to build this exhibit. Not only is it paid that he's a Christian, he's a great man, and he lost him. And it's because of Gil Smith that we had this marvelous exhibit. And it's also thanks to him that we had this Medal of Honor exhibit. He did great exhibit. I think he would be very pleased that we are here today to honor the 26 Oregonians who earned our nation's highest award for bravery. These are the bravest of the brave. 26 of the Civil War to Vietnam. That is 8 wars, 10 countries, 108 years. We have 2 Medal of Honor recipients from Oregon living today. Our esteemed Robert Dale Maxwell from Boise, Idaho, and he was born 95 years ago next Monday. Happy birthday. And we have Arthur Jackson, World War II Marine Medal of Honor recipient, who earned his medal in the Pacific. Arthur, ironically, lives in Boise, where Bob was born, but his medal is accredited to Portland. Arthur's not able to join us. He has been here before, but he has not seen the exhibit. We will bring the exhibit to him. Thank you to John and his photography. We will get the exhibit to him and his friends in Boise. Tori Gold is his daughter. She's supposed to be here. Tori, are you here? You slipped through the ladies with the guest list. Tori's not here. Okay. We're going to have a substitute for Arthur Jackson, and we have an ideal person for that, and we'll find that out in a minute. So this is the military's highest reward for bravery during combat. At one time, the Medal of Honor was given out for non-combat by the Navy. That stopped a long time ago. The Medal of Honor legislation was signed into law by President Abraham Lincoln in 1862. And this is for people who have exhibited valor above and beyond the call of duty. You always heard that expression, the President awards the Medal of Honor to someone in the White House, you will hear above and beyond the call of duty, which means the average person would probably not exhibit that valor at all. And if you didn't, you would never be criticized for it. So you hear the word intrepidity. What does that mean? It's in almost every Medal of Honor citation. It means being fearless, without fear. I've talked to Bob Maxwell many times over the last 14 years that we've known each other. And no one knows why a human being is willing to sacrifice his life for someone else, but you will find out from Bob some insight to that. A very stringent criteria for awarding the Medal of Honor. You have to be witnessed. I've met 5 Medal of Honor recipients, and they'll tell you to a man that they wear the medal for those other heroes that should have got the Medal of Honor, but no one ever witnessed their valor. You have to have 2 eyewitnesses. In Bob's case, he had 3. So about 3,500 medals of honor have been presented since 1862. And when you get out of that exhibit, you will be able to read every one of them if you want to stay here for a few days. But you can call up every one of them. And you can go listen to the interviews of 120. Of course, they couldn't interview people back in the Civil War days. So Bob and 110 others are in the exhibit, and you can hear their oral testimonies. I want to tell you something about what these 26 recipients did. For instance, 2 of the 26 covered an enemy hand grenade with their unprotected bodies to save the lives of veterans around. One lost his life. Larry Dawes, the last Medal of Honor recipient of war in Vietnam. Bob Maxwell survived. He was left for dead. 2 of them did that of the 26. Several, while wounded, charged and destroyed enemy positions while the friendly forces advanced and continued their mission. They destroyed enemy machine gun nests in the case of Fort Jackson, capturing prisoners, allowing their unit to advance. They single-handedly destroyed an enemy barricade. So they captured the enemy flag. How important is the military to have the flag out front? Before radios and communications, that's where you went. Wherever the flag went, that's where you were down. Capturing the enemy flag is a big deal. They routed an overwhelming enemy force after crossing the Lynn Bridge, Oxford Rebellion. You'll see that. While severely wounded, rescued comrades under heavy enemy gunfire. In the face of heavy enemy fire, established a telegraph communications with hired experts climbing the telephone pole and getting the wire connection to St. Louis Road. Gave up his parachute to an injured crew member and lost his life in the crash because he sacrificed his life to save a wounded veteran. I'm going to get that story in detail here. Then there was simple citations that gallantry in action, meritorious conduct, bravery in action. There were only 78 Medal of Honor recipients living in our nation today. Mr. Robert D. Maxwell is our eldest, our most senior of the 78 living in our nation today. So we have Bob with us today and his family, daughters and grandsons and granddaughters and great-grandchildren. Put their hands up, please. They're in the front row. So we have quite a few here for Bob's family. Penny Ross, are you here? Penny Ross, hey Penny. Penny is a daughter of the Navy Medal of Honor recipient, Pearl Harbor, one of 13 medals. Her dad, Donald Kirby Ross, received the Medal of Honor. Great story there. And of course, you can call him up down here. But since he's from Colorado, and you're from Vancouver, he's not over here, but he is in the kiosk. Thank you, Penny. Leonard DeWitt, my dear friend Leonard, World War II veteran, holds a DSC. He was nominated for the Medal of Honor by his general, and General McCarthy had something to say that resulted in Leonard not getting the Medal of Honor. And several of us have written letters to the governor, the U.S. Senate, the House, and the Secretary of the Army to upgrade his DSC to the Medal of Honor because that was what was originally intended. So So we sure hope that happens well. Joanne, thanks for coming. Ed Van Dyke, where are you? Ed, put your hand up, please. Ed Van Dyke is representing Cameron Smith, the Director of Veterans Affairs for the state of Oregon. This is the second time we have been in the same ceremony when we did dedicated to Vietnam Veterans Memorial Day. Thanks for coming in. General Thayer, we thought would be coming here today, but he's not ambulatory. Joe Gallagher, stand up. Joe is our chaplain. And will you please stand for the invocation? Remain standing for the presentation of the torch and singing of the national anthem.
Attention. Okay. Close. Forward.
Thank you, Dick, and good afternoon. It's a beautiful sight to look out and to see so many patriots, fellow veterans, dignitaries, comrades, and friends. We so appreciate you making the effort to attend this event. Indeed, I'm profoundly humbled to have been asked to serve as today's chaplain, and further honored to be included in today's dedication, as Dick stated, which honors Oregon's 26 Medal of Honor recipients who received our nation's highest military award for valor above and beyond the call of duty. As the compelling picture drawing of the Vietnam Wall entitled Reflections by Lee Teeter reminds us, when we remember our brothers, we reach out and touch eternity. And though the ages continue to roll, and there are wars and rumors of wars, God's promises remain constant and firm for all time. The following scripture, I think, applies directly to all of the men we are honoring today. And it comes from John chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Let us pray. Lord God, as we honor and remember all of the 26 Oregonian Medal of Honor recipients, grant that their hearts may be hopeful and confident that you, who are merciful and know our hearts, will continue to lead us onward, to bless our lives, and to heal our visible and our invisible wounds. In your holy name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Joe. Is that the code?
Forward. March.
Mary Beaver.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Michelle Lawrence, for bringing the candidates here today. You must have all written, right? So, in your program, you have the names of the 25 organizations that helped build this. If you're here representing one of those 25, please stand. We know we have Larry Wood. Here's Larry. Executive Director of the museum. Now that we get time, make more of my favorite airplane. Thank you for helping us. Stuart Bailey, where's Stuart? Stuart back here, he's the curator. I know Peter Carlson here. He's supposed to be here. We have Richard Cooper here. Okay. Then we have Brian Bowes. Is Brian here? Brian, thank you for coming. So Brian's work is hidden from sight. He built the framework that holds the two massive flags down here. And if you look around the back, you can see what Brian did. But thank you, Brian. Ted Lister. Where's Ted? Ted's here. You'll hear more from Ted in a minute. And then representing Congressman Greg Walden is Margie Anderson, Iraq Army veteran. And Representative Newt Bueller, my new doctor, is here, representing District 54. And sitting next to him is Colonel Gene Wisdom, representing 53. So those are some of the 25. And then all of our Penn Heroes Foundation members, please put your hand up or stand up. Yvonne and Eric, and Danny, and Joe, and Mike. I guess that's it. Thank you. Okay, now, we're going to have Larry who's going to read I'm going to talk about Larry for a bit. John, what am I going to say for a little bit?
Oh, there's Helmut?
So let's go back to Vietnam, 1966, 1967. So Larry and I were commanding officers of Army bird dog units, which are Cessna 19s. A pilot and observer, and our job was to find targets and destroy them, the 3rd Marine Division. We were flying airplanes that looked a lot like that, but they were made out of metal, much bigger engine, 2-seaters, and we had 400 Vietnam guys as commanding officer A, and Larry was commanding officer B up in the United so we were there 50 times. But Larry holds the GSC, which is second for Medal of Honor. He holds a lot of other decorations as well as Silver Stars and other crowns and air medals and so we're going to Larry's going to read the names of the 26 recipients and by ward. So to read your program, I suggest you keep that program because afterwards you have some bad between. Larry?
Thank you very much.
It is my honor to be here and to read these names. I hope you will forgive me if I get a little, like right now, emotional. These following names are the Oregon Medal of Honor recipients from all the wars, 1863 to 1971. We've had wars since then, but there have been no Oregonians that have received the Medal of Honor since Vietnam. I start with the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Alaric B. Champion, Private, U.S. Army. Hartwell B. Thompson, Major, U.S. Army. Nathan E. Edgerton, Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Louis Reniger, Corporal, U.S. Army. Next are the Indian campaigns, 1861 to 1898. James Jackson, Captain, U.S. Army. Nicholas Mayer, Corporal, U.S. Army. Louis Fife, Sergeant, U.S. Army. Next is the Boxer Rebellion, the year of 1900. John A. Murphy, Drummer, United States Marine Corps. Next is the Philippine Insurrection from 1899 to 1911. Frank C. High, Private, U.S. Army. Charles E. Kilbourne, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Marcus W. Robertson, Private, U.S. Army. Jacob Bowles, Jr., Carpenter's Mate, United States Navy. During peacetime, there was one awarded in the year of 1903. That was to Harry D. Fadden Coxman, U.S. Navy. World War I, 1917 to 1918. Edward C. Allworth, Captain, U.S. Army. World War II, 1941 to 1945. Arnold L. Borkland, First Lieutenant, U.S. Army. Arthur J. Jackson, Private First Class, U.S. Marine Corps. David R. Kingsley, Second Lieutenant, U.S. Army Air Corps. Robert D. Maxwell, Technician, 5th grade, U.S. Army. Henry Shower, Private First Class, U.S. Army. Stuart S. Stryker, Private First Class, U.S. Army. Forgive me for one moment. I want to... Thank you. Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Stanley T. Adams, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army. Lauren R. Kaufman, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army. The Vietnam War, 1964 to 1975. Larry G. Dahl, Specialist 4th Class, U.S. Army. John N. Holcomb, Sergeant, U.S. Army. Gary W. Martini, Private First Class, United States Marine Corps. Maximo Yebes, First Sergeant, U.S. Army. That's... Okay, I'm going to read Mr. Maxwell's.
What we're going to do, we're not going to read all 26. What we thought we'd do, since there are no World War I veterans living in the world, we would read the citations for 3 Medal of Honor recipients from Oregon for World War II. 1 Army, 1 Marine, and 1 Army Air Force. I should have mentioned that today Larry Kiebert is representing the Secretary of the Army in the state of Oregon. So,
Okay, am I just reading Bob's? Robert D. Maxwell the Medal of Honor citation as follows: for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at risk of life above and beyond the call of duty on the 7th of September 1944 near Bascon, France, technician 5th grade Maxwell and 3 other soldiers, armed only with .45 caliber automatic pistols, defended the battalion observation post against an overwhelming onslaught by enemy infantrymen in approximately platoon strength, supported by 20 millimeter flak and machine gun fire, who had infiltrated through the battalion's forward companies and were attacking the observation post with machine gun, machine pistol, and grenade fire at ranges as close as 10 yards. Despite a hail of fire from automatic weapons and grenade launchers, technician 5th grade Maxwell aggressively fought off advancing enemy elements and, by his calmness, tenacity, and fortitude, inspired his fellows to continue the unequal struggle. When an enemy hand grenade was thrown in the midst of his squad, technician 5th grade Maxwell unhesitatingly hurled himself squarely upon it. Using his blanket and his unprotected body to absorb the full force of the explosion. This act of instantaneous heroism permanently maimed technician 5th grade Maxwell, but saved the lives of his comrades in arms and facilitated maintenance of vital military communications during the temporary withdrawal of the battalion's forward headquarters.
You notice that Tom Marple rang that bell after each of the 24 names. Those are the ones who didn't survive today. 7 of the 26 lost their lives in the act of their valor. All 4 from Vietnam. None of them survived. Joe Gallagher. Tell you a little bit about Joe. Joe's the director of our foundation, besides being a chaplain and a Christian for the Penn Heroes Foundation. It's also the chaplain for the Band Brothers. Joe served in Art Jackson's unit 2 decades later after World War II. Joe and Art Jackson were the same age, 21 years old, both private first-class infantrymen. Personally, it's a great honor for me to ask Joe to read Arthur Jackson's Medal of Honor citation. Joe? This is a picture of Arthur Jackson. Is Tori here now? Did Tori arrive? Okay.
The citation reads as follows: for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division in action against enemy Japanese forces on the island of Peleliu in the Apollo Group, 18 September 1944. Boldly taking the initiative when Private First Class Jackson's platoon's left flank advance was held up by the fire of Japanese troops who were concealed in strongly fortified positions. PFC Jackson unhesitatingly proceeded forward of our lines and courageously defying the heavy barrages. He charged a large pillbox housing approximately 35 enemy soldiers, pouring his automatic fire into the opening of the fixed installation to trap the occupying troops. Private First Class Jackson hurled white phosphorus grenades and explosive charges brought up by a fellow Marine, thus demolishing the pillbox and killing all of the enemy. Advancing alone under the continuous fire from other hostile emplacements, Private First Class Jackson employed similar means to smash two smaller positions in the immediate vicinity, determined to crush the entire pocket of resistance, although harassed on all sides by the shattering blasts of Japanese weapons and covered only by small rifle parties. Private First Class Jackson stormed one gun position after another, dealing death and destruction to the savagely fighting enemy in his inexorable drive against the remaining defenses. And he succeeded in wiping out a total of 12 pillboxes and 50 Japanese soldiers. Stout-hearted and indomitable despite the terrific odds, Private First Class Jackson resolutely maintained control of the platoon's left flank movement throughout his valiant one-man assault, and by his cool decisions and relentless fighting spirit during a most critical situation, he contributed essentially to the complete annihilation of the enemy in the southern sector of the island. His gallant initiative and heroic conduct in the face of extreme peril reflect the highest credit upon Private First Class Jackson and the United States Naval Service.
Representative Gene Wisnick is a retired Air Force colonel, Vietnam veteran, and the son of a dad who served in World War II in the Battle of the Bulge. Gene we have been friends for over 20 years. He's done marvelous things in the legislature for Oregon's veterans and our communities at large. In year one, along with Representative, I like to call him Dr. Newfielder because he saved my left knee in Mary Jane's 2 days. Dr. Bueller and Representative Wisman are two of the 7 donors of this huge Oregon flag you're going to see down below in a few minutes. So, Colonel Wisman, will you, I'll have to call you Representative. Gene, will you please read the second?
I got it.
You can big print, okay.
Thank you, Colonel Tobias, and thank you all for being here today. I'm honored to be part of this ceremony. The Medal of Honor citation for Second Lieutenant David R. Kingsley for conspicuous gallantry. Here now, get too close. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty. June the 23rd, 1944, near Pulist, Romania, while flying as a bombardier of a B-17 type aircraft. On the bomb run, Second Lieutenant Kingsley's aircraft was severely damaged by intense flak and forced to drop out of formation. But the pilot proceeded over the target and Second Lieutenant Kingsley successfully dropped his bombs, causing severe damage to vital installations. The damaged aircraft, forced to lose altitude and to lag behind the formation, was aggressively attacked by 3 Me-109 aircraft, causing more damage to the aircraft and severely wounding the tail gunner in the upper arm. The radio operator and engineer notified Second Lieutenant Kingsley that the tail gunner had been wounded and that assistance was needed to check the bleeding. Second Lieutenant Kingsley made his way back to the radio room, skillfully applying first aid to the wound and succeeding in checking the bleeding. The tail gunner's parachute harness and heavy clothes were removed, and he was covered with blankets, making him as comfortable as possible. 8 Me-109 aircraft again aggressively attacked Second Lieutenant Kingsley's aircraft, and the ball turret gunner was wounded by 20mm shell fragments. He went forward to the radio room to have Second Lieutenant Kingsley administer first aid. A few minutes later, when the pilot gave the order to prepare to bail out, Second Lieutenant Kingsley immediately began to assist the wounded gunner in putting on their parachute harness. In the confusion, the tail gunner's harness, believed to have been damaged, could not be located in the bundle of blankets and flying clothes, which had been removed from the wounded man. With utter disregard for his own means of escape, Second Lieutenant Kingsley unhesitatingly removed his parachute harness and adjusted it to the wounded tail gunner. Due to the extensive damage caused by the accurate and concentrated 20mm fire by the enemy aircraft, the pilot gave the order to bail out, as it appeared the aircraft would disintegrate at any moment. Second Lieutenant Kingsley aided the wounded men in bailing out, and when last seen by the crew members, he was standing on the bomb bay catwalk. The aircraft continued to fly on automatic pilot for a short distance, then crashed and burnt. His body was later found in the wreckage. Second Lieutenant Kingsley, by his gallant heroic action, was directly responsible for saving the life of the wounded gunner. Lieutenant David Kingsley is the name of our Oregon National Guard, Air National Guard airfield in Klamath Falls, Kingsley Field. Before he entered the military, I think it's important, he was a firefighter. True Oregonian. Thank you.
The Romanian, let's go back a little bit. My wife and I, we traveled to France and Germany and the Low Countries last year on a D-Day tour. Everywhere you go in France, there are memorials to American veterans who saved that country, who saved 2 generations of men were lost. The French generation were lost in those 2 wars, World War I and World War II. Everywhere you go, there are American flags flying. Some are old and tattered, but they weren't put up for us. They're always there. Those memorials are there. There's a memorial just like David Kingsley's in the small town we went to. John Fry's uncle was B-17 crewman, and he died in a crash in France. There's a memorial in that town to your uncle. So the Romanian people loved the Americans so much they built a memorial to David Kingsley from the B-17 wreckage. They sent part of it to Kingsley Field in Oregon, at Klamath Falls, and built another memorial for him. If you ever go to Klamath Falls, make sure you go in and see the memorial to David Kingsley. Bob Maxwell has a bridge named for him. Lots of these Medal of Honor recipients have been honored in their local communities, but this is the thing we do for all 26 right here. You'll be able to read all 26 recipients down at the exhibit in these interactive digital kiosks. We have a lot of letters from people who would love to have been here today but can't. So we're going to read some letters. The first letter is from our major partner, the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation. When you go down and look at that exhibit, you're going to see 2 interactive digital kiosks, and we'll explain to you how they operate. Those are the last 2 ever made. There are 20 across the United States. We got the last two. They were provided by Ronald Rand, Brigadier General, U.S. Air Force, the President and CEO of the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation. This is a letter to me. Today is a justifiably proud day for the state of Oregon, the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, and especially for all members of the Ben Heroes Foundation, as you dedicate the Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit. Located in the, we call EASM, the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum, your stunning exhibit honors and memorializes the 26 Oregon recipients of our nation's highest military award for valor. I wish I could be there to say this in person, but on behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of the Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation and the recipients we serve, including our dear friend, Medal of Honor recipient Robert D. Maxwell, who is with you, congratulations on conceiving and delivering this well-deserved recognition of 26 American heroes. We at the Foundation are honored to be partners in this project. We're excited that our interactive kiosks and character development program DVDs will be available to teach your visitors, particularly the students, about the medal and the values it embodies. We hope the selfless service demonstrated by the 26 Oregon men who earned the medal and the core values that define their service, courage and sacrifice, commitment and integrity, citizenship and patriotism, will serve as examples to guide the next generation of Americans to lead lives of service and sacrifice, no matter what careers they may choose. Again, congratulations and thanks for bringing this amazing project to life. On behalf of all of us, please wish Bob a happy 95th birthday, Bob, with the very best wishes and deepest appreciation for his service then and still. I want to tell you something about Bob in a minute before he speaks, about how he still serves at age 95 and all the marvelous things he's done. Very respectfully, Ronald T. Rand, President and CEO. There's an organization, another nonprofit called the Medal of Honor Historical Society of the United States. It's kind of a one-person show run by Gail Alvarez, our dear friend in Boise, Idaho. When John was putting together the framed photos and citations of those medals, which took a lot of work, it was Gail who said, well, I have a better picture than the one that's on the internet, and she found pictures that no one had ever seen before. Well, I asked if Richard Cooper was here, and he's not, but we got those pictures from Gail, and John and Richard Cooper took those pictures and digitized them and modified them so that you'll see those gorgeous pictures at the exhibit that we would not have otherwise had. Thank you, John, for doing that. So this is a letter from that society from Gail. On behalf of the Medal of Honor Historical Society of the United States, I am proud to have been a part of this wonderful effort to honor Oregon's 26 Medal of Honor recipients. This has been a project long in the making, and we must not forget the service and sacrifices these men made for our country. Now, thanks to the Evergreen Aviation Space Museum and the Ben Heroes Foundation, their legacies will endure. I also wish to extend to Mr. Bob Maxwell best wishes for a very happy birthday. Mr. Maxwell, you were a wonderful role model and set a very high standard for others to follow. I am honored to know you, our dear friend Gail. We have more letters, but I think most people know who Gary Sinise is, right? So yesterday, Gary Sinise was honored at West Point with the Thayer Award. Jim, you're a graduate of West Point, right? The Thayer Award is pretty prestigious because it's been given to General Eisenhower, obviously, Joe MacArthur, and Bob Hope. So yesterday, Gary Sinise got the award. He sent you a picture, Bob. And it says, to Bob, thank you for serving our country. He also sent me one, which I will not read. He's all dressed up. Margie Anderson, representing Congressman Greg Walden, will you come up, please? And you have 2 documents to read. So Margie is an Army veteran, served in Iraq and Germany, and she is Greg Walden's caseworker for veterans in Central Oregon and does a marvelous job. Thank you.
As Dick said, I have 2 letters to read from Greg. Dear Dick, I am pleased Oregon is dedicating a museum honoring our state's 26 recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award for military valor. These brave men fought to protect our freedom and defeat In the words of General John Parrish, the commander of the American forces, in World War I, time will not dim the glory of their deeds. I am honored to be a part of this project by donating an American flag flown over the U.S. Capitol, the flag now displayed here at the museum. I am also honored to perpetuate the memory of these Oregon heroes by officially honoring them before the U.S. House on March 25th, National Medal of Honor Day. Thank you to the Ben Heroes Foundation for initiating this project with the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum and 24 other partners, bringing it to a fruitious on the 95th birthday of my friend Bob Maxwell. On behalf of the people of Oregonian's 2nd District, I thank Bob and the other recipients of the Medal of Honor for their brave service to our nation. Sincerely, Greg Walden, Member of Congress. Now, Bob, this is your birthday card from Congressman Walden to you. So, happy birthday. Dear Bob, I want to wish you a happy 95th birthday. To my friend who served above and beyond the call of duty in World War II, earning the Congressional Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award of military valor. I am eternally grateful for the day of your birth and for September 7, 1944, the day you fought off a German attack with a pistol and then jumped on a grenade, absorbing the blast and saving lives. I applaud you for your tireless effort in honoring our veterans. Through the Medal of Honor exhibit at the Aviation Museum, and your contribution has been tremendous, from directing the Ben Honors Foundation to teaching auto mechanics at the community college. My confidence in America's strength comes from friends like you who selflessly defend our freedom. Happy birthday, Bob, and thanks for serving our great nation. Sincerely, Greg Walden. Happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you, Margie. Tim Stoy is a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Infantry Officer. He's the historian for the Society of the 3rd Infantry Division. His wife Monica is with us, and she's a retired Army Captain, and she's in charge of the 3rd Infantry Division Outreach, number 5845 of the Society. They both have letters to read, but I want to tell you, they took Bob Maxwell to France a few years ago, gave him a grand tour, and everywhere they went, Bob was saluted, plaques were up there, mayors were out there, he cut blue ribbons and all that sort of thing. So, Tim and Monica, come on up. You're going to read the letter? I'll be there. Ladies first.
Thank you. Bob, it's a great honor and personal privilege for me to stand here in front of you and congratulate you on your 95th birthday. But also, my letter is a very personal one because I thought this letter was just going to him. I did not know it's going to be read in front of everybody. But might as well let everyone know our secrets, that we spent together 3 weeks in 2011. But mind you, he was with my husband too, and also his grandson. Where are you? Raise your hand. The handsome young man who was with his grandfather day and night to ensure he did not drink, Of course he didn't. And he had a wonderful time. And we were honored and humbled. And thank you. Dear Bob, on behalf of the Outpost Europe 5845, which signifies May 8, 1945, the end of World War II in Europe. I would like to wish you a very happy, healthy 95th birthday. You remain one of our brightest stars in the Society of the 3rd Infantry Division, not because of the medal that you wear, but because of the outstanding quality of your character. You are a true American and outstanding representative of America's greatest generation. And in addition to my letter, I also have a personal message from his former battalion commander, then Lieutenant Colonel, retired Major General Lloyd Ramsey. And in his book, I know we have a lot of Vietnam War veterans, and he was a Markel Division commander in the Vietnam War. And General Ramsey is still living in Roanoke, Virginia, at age 98. At age 98. And in his book here, he mentioned, of course, our dear Bob, making a testimony that Bob saved his life along with many other soldiers. And he is to tell everyone he is forever grateful for what he has done. So this is a book from General Ramsey to Bob, so I will present it to you. And along with, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, I have to make sure that we have to take a photo and then give to General Ramsey. He's unable to attend. And one of our greatest honor, as I have stated earlier, is escort him back to France. And this is evidence that we were there. This is the beach he landed along with the 7th Infantry Regiment with his former battalion commander, Lloyd Ramsey. Cavalier-sur-Mer is one of very, very nice beach in southern France. As you can see in the background, you will see very happy beach boards. And what you did not see in this photo is 2 steps away is, well, should we say, he did not see it, but Tim saw it, and his grandson saw it, half-naked lady. Very happy.
She's got more. We'll do a group photograph with all the loop.
And then this is from the French mayor. The book was done and showing that Bob was there in his town. Saint-Paul Chateau. And this is from the French ambassador in Washington, D.C., also recognizing what Bob has done in France.
Jordan, it's time for you to come up and pick up this.
That's it.
Tim.
Oh, one last thing. We say rock of the mark.
Rock of the Mark. That's their hoorah for the 3rd Infantry. 3rd Infantry.
3rd Infantry Division, not the Marines.
I flew for the 3rd Division.
Bob, we're really glad we were able to be here. It's a great honor. As Monica has already said, we got to do 3 wonderful weeks with you in France, and before that you came to the Society reunion when we hosted it in Washington, D.C. in 2010. I'm going to read a letter from the 3rd of the 7th Infantry Battalion, which is currently at Fort Stewart, Georgia. It was Bob's unit in World War II. Mr. Maxwell, I'm an infantry officer with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Infantry Regiment. I heard through the grapevine that you used to be a member of the Cotton Baler Battalion and had received the Medal of Honor during World War II. I am very honored and proud to have learned about such a significant event in our unit's history. Thank you for your inspiring acts of valor for our country and for setting such a selfless example for others to follow. Your legacy precedes you as your story is now known by the entire battalion. Soldiers like you and other Medal of Honor recipients have provided our commanders stories that are told during our unit safety briefings, so our soldiers know of the prestige with which we hold our unit accountable. Instead of telling our soldiers the rules and what not to do, which they already know, we tell them about the acts of valor which they admire and then will try to emulate. But seeing that October 26th is not about 3-7 Infantry or the Medal of Honor, the Baylor Battalion would like to wish you a very happy 95th birthday, Mr. Maxwell. Please accept this humble token of our appreciation for your service, example, and life successes. Take care and God bless. Very respectfully, Kyle Griffin, 3-7 Infantry.
So you might have noticed another coincidence. Today is full of coincidences. Arthur Jackson and Bob Maxwell, even though in different branches of the military, were in the same unit, 3rd of the 7th. 3rd Battalion, 7th Regiment, and Arthur Jackson's 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. Did you know that? Amazing coincidence. John Fry and his dear wife Jean have to leave, so I'm going to skip something in the agenda for a minute. John and Jean have worked with us forever to build this exhibit, and they were even here yesterday screwing down things and making sure the cake and the rose and all those things got taken care of. So John has a presentation for you. Jean, would you help with John with that? So what John is presenting is actually a copy of what you're going to see down in the exhibit. You're going to see 26 of these. So that's Bob's. That's your own personal one for us to hang at Aspen Ridge, right, Tom Markle? And then you have one more item. And all of these things you're going to see in the exhibit. This is the congressional record. You have the congressional record there for Bob. This is the congressional record that Congressman Walden had issued right on the floor of the House of Representatives on what other day would we do it? National Medal of Honor Day, March 25th, every year. So, Bob, that was done in your honor, and it lists all 26. And I'm going to read excerpts from it just a little bit. Thank you, John. And then John has the little blue folders that go to each of Bob's daughters. And each folder has the photo, the citation, and the congressional record. So Bonnie, Berta, Linda, and Rosie, Sheriff. Otherwise known as Rosie. They're all identical. And we have one for Arthur Jackson's daughter, but if she's not here, we'll mail it to her. And we have the identical plaque like that to send to Arthur so that he will have it wherever he would like to show it. I'm just going to read part of the... John, thank you very much. And Jean, I know you're going to leave, but thank you so much for doing all the hard work over the last few years to make this work. It's a great honor to work with you. Air Force veterans. So if anybody's keeping count, we got John and John, we got 2 Air Force, we got a bunch of Marines and a couple of Army guys. So we can kind of balance it out here. I'm just going to read part of the congressional record. This is a formal thing. When they rise to the floor in the House, in the well of this House, this becomes a permanent part of American history. And Congressman Walden has done that for every honor flight trip we have led, which we'll talk about towards the end of our program. Mr. Speaker, I rise to recognize the 26 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients with strong ties to Oregon who will be honored in the special Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit at the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. On behalf of a grateful state and country, it is my privilege to honor these heroes who served above and beyond the call of duty, earning the Congressional Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award for military valor. Their brave service spans over 108 years from the Civil War to the Vietnam War, and then he lists the 26 names. I'm going to skip over part of it. Among other items, the Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit will feature displays for each recipient, you just saw them, interactive digital kiosks that the Foundation gave us, and a large American flag flown over the U.S. Capitol, which Congressman Walden donated. And that was flown on National Medal of Honor Day. This outstanding project was organized by the Ben Harrells Foundation and their partners, Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum, Pacific Standard Television, that's Matt Simek, who's our designer, who's not here today because he's taking care of his ailing mother in Chicago. The Congressional Medal of Honor Foundation, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society, the Medal of Honor Historical Society, my office, and BNS at Railroad. So Andrew Johnson's the Vice President of BNSF Railway Foundation, and he couldn't make it today. He sends his best, and they donated the money to build those gorgeous tables that all these displays are on. We couldn't do without it. So 2 nights ago, the city of Bend issued a proclamation declaring your birthday next Monday, Bob, is Bob Maxwell Day, Medal of Honor Day, and Bob was there, and Yvonne Drury, our Vice President, and Ted Lister, and Bob Dent, a few others were there, but I'm just going to read part of it. Most of the stuff you know, whereas the Congressional Medal of Honor is our nation's highest award for military bravery during combat with a declared enemy. And whereas the Medal of Honor has been presented to 3,512 recipients since it was instituted by President Abraham Lincoln 154 years ago. And whereas 26 members of the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, and U.S. Marine Corps connected with Oregon have received the Medal of Honor for their valor above and beyond the call of duty during 8 wars in 10 countries, beginning with the Civil War. Whereas Bend is home to World War II Medal of Honor recipient Robert D. Bob Maxwell. World War II. Whereas Mr. Robert D. Maxwell is the only Medal of Honor recipient living in Oregon. And whereas Mr. Robert D. Maxwell is the oldest, we usually say the most senior, of the 78 Medal of Honor recipients of all wars living in our nation today. And whereas Ben Harrells Foundation initiated and managed creation of the Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit at Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. Whereas the Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit will display the citations and photographs of all 26 recipients, including Robert D. Maxwell. Whereas the Oregon Medal of Honor exhibit honoring Oregon's 26 recipients will be dedicated on October 24th, coincident with Mr. Robert D. Maxwell's 95th birthday on October 26th. Whereas this commemoration is intended to instill a greater understanding, respect, and appreciation for veterans who are willing to sacrifice their lives to save others. And whereas Bend's citizens owe a deep debt of gratitude to all who serve, are serving, and will serve in our nation's armed forces. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Bend hereby proclaims October 26, 2015 as Bob Maxwell Medal of Honor Day, dated this 21st day of October 2015, signed by Jim Clinton, the mayor, and Robin Christie, the city reporter. Bob, we're going to take all of these to the Ted Lister. Ted is a Navy veteran, son of a World War II Navy veteran, Lieutenant Theodore Charles Lister Jr., a long, distinguished military family. I think it's, matter of fact, where I went to flight school in Fort Rucker, I think the hospital is named for your grandfather. Yeah. So Ted's going to read this poem on the Medal of Honor. And Ted has spare copies, and he'll be down there at the exhibit with Bob if you would like to have an autographed copy. Ted, front and center, please.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Dick. Bob, distinguished guests, veterans, I can't tell you how humbled I am to have a part in this dedication. It's truly an honor. Dick asked me if I'd explain just a little bit about my background. I write poetry, and I started writing a number of military poems. I lost my father in World War II in the First Battle of Savo Island. He was an officer on the USS Juno, which went down with he and 700 of his shipmates, including the Sullivan brothers. You may have remembered that. That battle is somewhat significant to these proceedings today because in the course of that battle, our Navy task force lost a number of ships, and two Rear Admiral flag officers, Rear Admiral Daniel Callahan and Rear Admiral Norman Scott, were both killed in the battle and both posthumously received the Medal of Honor. So I share that for this. I wrote this several years ago, and Bob, this is for you. Just a gold-colored star from a blue ribbon hung in mute recognition of heroic deeds done. It isn't a trophy that someone can win. To regard it as that, some consider a sin. It's the highest award that our nation bestows for risking one's life in the face of our foes. It's not just for combat in some far-off place, but incredible courage, staring death in the face. For actions above and beyond what's expected at the risk of one's life that a teammate's protected. There is no greater gift that a warrior can give than to lay down his life so that others can live. Dick, thank you very much.
John Rasmussen, where are you? Disappeared? John, is John here? Okay, so then we'll go with the Bob. So we're into the kind of closing part of this dedication in which people make remarks. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Bob because he's going to say something profound. I've heard it a number of times from Bob. I'll tell you a little bit about Bob. Bob, of course, was born 95 years ago in Boise, Idaho. He was raised in Kansas by his parents, grandparents, and they were on the way to the promised land from the Dust Bowl to Oregon, and Bob got drafted in the Army. Bob was raised as a Quaker, and the Army said, we'll just put you in the medics and make you a conscientious objector. And Bob says, no, it will be a privilege to fight for my country. Give me a rifle. So he served in North Africa, Sicily, France with the 3rd Infantry Division, which you heard, as a wireman, a man who today would be an IT guy. He would hook up the field wires to the phones and switchboards so that the battalion commander could talk with the rifle companies. During the invasion of Italy at Anzio, he was wounded and hospitalized. He had already earned the Silver Star and the Purple Heart there. So now he's transported, courtesy of the Navy, to the southern invasion, the invasion of southern France in Operation Dragoon. This is where General Patch who trained 100,000 troops out here in the desert of Oregon, was leading an invasion of southern France to coincide with General Patton's Third Army so that they would reach into Germany together. Well, Bob didn't get all the way up there. He got to Besançon, France, where he threw himself on a German hand grenade at 2 o'clock in the morning, cold dark night, September 7th, 1944, and he saved the lives of his 3 fellow firemen. If you read the eyewitness accounts of that action, it's quite different from the citation from Medal of Honor. You should really read that to find out how a person whose life is going to be saved, what he thinks of it, as opposed to the prose that you would see in a citation. The citations are fairly standard, aren't they? Intrepidity, nothing beyond the call of duty, and then they get into the specific action. So Bob became the most highly decorated veteran of all time from Colorado, where he was drafted. Medal of Honor, 2 Silver Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, Bronze Star, French Croix de Guerre, French Legion of Honor, and all the campaign movies, which he might let us borrow for this museum. So Bob used the GI Bill because he had dropped out of school in the 7th grade. His school teacher said, "You've got to get out of the Dust Bowl, you've got to move west to Oregon or Washington." So his grandmother and 2 uncles finally reached Oregon. His grandfather died in Colorado. And so Bob joined them after being discharged at Fort Lewis, and he went down to Eugene and took 2 years of training with the GI Bill in automotive technology. The family moved to Redmond, Oregon, because they didn't like the rain. And so Bob ended up working for the Ford dealer, 2 Ford dealers, and that's where he met his late wife, Beatrice Eaton, married 64 years. He taught automobile technology at Bend High School, Central Oregon College, which is now COCC, and Lane Community College. In Lane Community College, they've got the Veterans Centers named for Bob. He has an associate, he has a degree from Lane Community College. In 1970, Bob was named as one of our nation's 5,000 outstanding educators. Bob made the list, 1970. He established, I think one of his proudest moments was establishing the Bob and B Medal of Honor Scholarship at Boise Bible College. Every year he goes and awards a scholarship. Graduated from Bend High School in 2011, where he's a distinguished alum now. I had the honor of nominating Bob and several other World War II honor flight veterans. He's a director of our foundation, very active with the Band of Brothers in Bend, and of course the Medal of Honor Society. I don't know how many frequent flyer miles he has, but he must have a lot. So one of the things Bob has been pressing us to do is to continue the honest exhibit into the Medal of Honor Foundation's character development program. You'll hear about that in a moment. So Bob's family's here today. Happy birthday, Bob, and would you please welcome Bob. Bob actually told me he was going to adopt me about 10 years ago. Bob, I'm 81. So, how many people here know who Paul Harvey was? Everybody of our generation, Paul Harvey. So Paul Harvey is often referred to as the most listened to man in radio. A champion of patriotism, Paul Harvey began broadcasting on the ABC radio networks in 1951 with Paul Harvey News and Comment. In 1976, he launched The Rest of the Story, which often provides touching accounts of heroism and love of country. Paul Harvey was a guest at a Congressional Medal of Honor Society's convention in Pueblo, Colorado in 2000, where he received the Tex McCrary Award for Excellence in Journalism. It was presented to him on September 22nd at the award dinner during the 2000 convention, and Pueblo, as I mentioned before, is home to 4 Medal of Honor recipients. Paul Harvey had an amazing expression that he delivered at that event that is Bob's favorite.
Thank you, Dick. You know, it's quite an intimidating thing to course, a group like this gets your whole lifetime exposed to the world. But I guess there are a few things that I don't want to cover up. One of the things that is important in this day and age, and that is morality, honesty, things that Christianity stands for. And we, in our character development program at Bend, we're seeking out some of these things to the students there to combat some of the problems that occur in the schools today. And this is something we like to see ongoing for generations to come. Back to Paul Harvey again, he said two different times, he said there are two things, two intangible symbols of self-sacrifice. These are the symbols, the two symbols that represent the ultimate offer of one's life for some others. One of these symbols is the cross of Christ, and you can make your own application to that. The other is the Congressional Medal of Honor, and that was signed 2 times by Paul Harvey. Thank you.
Bob has been a personal inspiration to me for over 12 years. A personal inspiration for our Ben Harris Foundation, where he's a director, Band of Brothers, countless thousands of ROTC cadets in Central Oregon, where he's been guest speakers, churches all over the country, high schools all over the country. He's inspired thousands of people. So your legacy lives on, Bob. We're all indebted to your spirituality, patriotism, championship of patriotic values in America. We love you. All right. So we got some announcements to make. Did I see Tori Dole walk in a minute ago? Tori, are you here now? Arthur Jackson's daughter, are you here? Tori? Tessie, Tori, both names. Okay. I'm sorry. We'd love to have you here. If you think this is all that the foundation is doing, that's not all. Our foundation is probably mostly known for the Honor Flight program. Our foundation has taken 505 World War II veterans back to Washington, D.C. on 12 trips over the last 5 years. And we've learned a lot about World War II veterans. I'd like to thank Eric Tobias and our younger son for leading 10 of those 12 trips. Yvonne Drury for being taking care of all the communications with the veterans. It's a real tough job, and you guys have done a fabulous job of organizing the trips and conducting trips and saluting 505 World War II veterans who helped save the world from tyranny. Bob went on our first trip, and guess who got to lay the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns? That's great, Bob. So what you're going to see down in this exhibit, Bob's going to open. So when he goes down there after we have the birthday party, he's going to cut a blue ribbon that is going to be held by Eric and Yvonne. And you can see him down there, and he's got a table, and if you take your program down there, and I think you'll have a autograph. If you thought this was all of the things we're going to do in the foundation, you would be mistaken. We are going to press on with this character development program that is sponsored by the Medal of Honor Foundation, and that's the group that gave us those 2 kiosks. Chris Piper is a volunteer in our foundation, and he is our spark plug for what we call CDP. Chris, would you come up and tell us about it?
Great, thank you. Well, if I knew I was going to be standing here 3 months ago, I'd be lying. I had the opportunity in Charleston, South Carolina, to meet General Livingston, Medal of Honor recipient, who was honored for his bravery in Vietnam. Through him, I learned about the Medal of Honor Character Development Program. I researched it, I looked into it, and General Livingston said, "You're in Bend, Oregon." And I was in South Carolina at the time because our company was there having a national conference, and we donated some money to the USS Yorktown and the Medal of Honor development of the museum. And I said, "Yeah, I'm in Bend, Oregon." And he said, "Have you met Bob Maxwell?" And I said, "No, I've not met Bob Maxwell. I know of Bob Maxwell." I came home, and I'm in these office suites, and you never know how things align in the universe. And I think all of us need to take action when we are paired up and realize that we meet people and understand the value that those individuals bring to your life. So my next door neighbor in the office suite, Tony DeAlicante, who's here, and Tony, if you'll stand up. Most of you may know Tony. He's a JAG attorney. Tony and I have known each other just for really, I guess, for a few months. And Tony goes, "Well, I know Bob Maxwell. Why don't I give him a call?" And I said, "That would be great." He called him right then and put him on speakerphone. And he said, "Hey, Bob, you need to have lunch with Chris Piper. He's going to lead this character development program and wants to get it started." So Bob and I, we met for the first time. We had lunch. We got to know each other a little bit. I was very honored, realizing the gentleman that he is today. We're very fortunate to have him in our life. So long story short, just to give you a little bit about the Medal of Honor Character Development Program that Bob and I are putting together through the efforts of the Medal of Honor Foundation. It incorporates the ideals of courage and selfless service into the middle and high school curriculum to build character and promote responsible citizenship. And today, I am really honored to be able to share with you that through our efforts and Dick's efforts, we have made tremendous headway in bringing the character development program into Bend High School and into High Desert Middle School. This is a curriculum that we are looking to kick off in the school year of 2016 and 2017. And we're in the process now of working with the Medal of Honor Foundation for their support. Administrators, the vice principal of Bend High, the social studies teacher of Bend High, the principal of High Desert Middle School, and myself will be going up to Seattle November 17th to learn more about the curriculum, to work with the administrators up there and understand how it's being built and implemented so that we can replicate that down in Bend. This will be a legacy for Bob Maxwell and something I'm very dedicated to carry forward. So with that, I just want to conclude that we are on an educational road in developing character for our kids, for my daughter, who's here in the audience. We're going to bring the value of courage, sacrifice, patriotism, citizenship, integrity, and commitment to the youth of Oregon and across this great nation. And with that, God bless all of you. Thank you all for being here.
And it doesn't stop there. So Bend High School has been putting on these assemblies for Veterans Day for 5 years. Pat Welch is here with his son Ethan, who I've seen grow up in the high school, who's now ready to join the service. So Ethan, where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. So we're going to have the Veterans Day Assembly at Penn High like we always do. This year we're going to honor the called GWAT, Global War and Terror Veterans, Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, Iraq, and all veterans. So it's a massive assembly, and when you are up on the stage, and the principal says, well, every student who's got a veteran in your family put their hand up, almost every hand goes up. 1,600 students. So we'll do that. Then our son Eric and his Rotary Club are working with the Summit High School to start a new program there for Veterans Day, and they're going to do that on November 6th with a welcome to veterans and the students, and then individual classrooms. 5 of the World War II veterans that Eric will be introducing are from our Honor Flight program. So the Honor Flight program is kind of tapering off, and we're transitioning into getting veterans in the classrooms. So at Penn High, Summit, High Desert Middle School, that sort of thing. The state of Tennessee just passed a law that requires, I think that's too strong a word, that encourages the State Director of Supervision of Education to implement CDP as an adjunct to the current programs. In some places it will be a substitute. So that was just signed by the governor, so we'll be using that as a model for Oregon, and I think Representative Wisnett and Representative Bueller will be talking to you about getting some legislation that will be modeled on the town. I'm working with Ronald Rand on coming up with a template for all states, so this is a good model for us to work on. Okay, I'm going to skip back a little bit, because when you go down to look at that exhibit, it's surrounded by military service flags. Gunny Brandon, would you stand up, please, and jam? Introduce Gunny. He's a Vietnam veteran, Marine Corps. He has loaned us these flags. Okay, Gunny, we'll see you down there. Thank you for loaning us the flags. But what's the connection to the Medal of Honor? Where is he living now? In the new veterans home in Lebanon, and who is it named for? Edward Allworth, World War I Medal of Honor recipient. So Gunny, thanks for letting us borrow you. You and I served in the same place in Vietnam about the same time. You were on the ground, and I was up on one of those bird dogs. Very deep. So when you get down, we're going to do a cake now. And I think we should, before John runs out of tape over there. John, would you stand up, please? John McCauley is our videographer, and he's a volunteer at the Ben Harrows Foundation. So he will be posting this on the internet right away. So if you go to Ben Harrows, www.benharrows.org, you're going to see today's event, and we have permission to broadcast it widely to all our partners and the media. So thank you very much, John McCauley, and I hope you're not going to run out of tape. We're going to do the cake, but we have to sing Happy Birthday. And Jeff Briggs is going to not only play taps downstairs for us, but he's going to play Happy Birthday. We're going to do the cake, about 15 minutes for the cake, then we'll go down to the exhibit, and Stuart Bailey and I will talk you through it, and then Joe will do the benediction, and then Jeff will play taps down here for us. So let's have a happy birthday for Bob.